Hello traders, how are we? Welcome back to Simply Forex. Welcome to Trader Tom. I'm with you for the next 45 minutes. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How is everyone? Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're having a good trading week thus far. Guys, we're gonna do a few things today. You can see that I've got something a little bit different on my screen. We'll take a look at this very shortly, but I thought this will be really interesting because I'm sure a lot of you guys have been through this journey, and we'll go through this a little bit shortly. We're also going to do some market analysis, guys. As always, we'll do some market analysis. Maybe there's some currency pairs you want to look at. Maybe there's some questions you have for me about trading. So still the same, guys. Please get your questions over to me and we will do exactly that. Also, guys, we're going to take a look at the news, right? Because half past the hour, we have some important news coming out of the States and Canada, right? Not super important, but this initial jobless claims is, right? So we'll take a look at that. We do have other US dollar news later, right? But not during the live stream. All right, so we'll take a look at the news as well, and we'll see the reaction to the charts. I'm also going to show you a couple of trades that I am in. The markets have been crazy tricky, as you know, but we've had one successful trade today, which I will share with you. And I'm also in another trade, which we're going to take a look at as well. So we have got bloody loads to get through, right? Let's take a quick look at the chat. So, hi Luigi, how are you? Daniel, hi Tom, all good. Glad to have made it this time to the live stream. Welcome, Daniel. Who else we got in? Brett, afternoon, Brett. HD, I always think you are crystal clear and very easy to see. Welcome, HD. Hello, everyone. And also, congratulations if we have any Spurs fans in. You have finally won something. And I'm so glad you beat United from a Liverpool fan. Right, guys, so that's it. We're going to start here. Right, and we're going to start. I found this on Reddit, and there's this group here. It's like Confessions of Traders, right? And this is Confessions of a Loser, right? Sounds a little bit negative, but it's actually him and his journey and how he turned things around. It's actually quite motivational because I'm sure a lot of you have been in this guy's situation. All right, so let's just take it a paragraph at a time and let's see what it says. So, so I spent the entirety of this year so far losing trades. My calendar was red every single month as I made my way through my journey of learning how to trade. I was consistently a loser, and that consistency made me desensitized to losing money. Don't get me wrong, when I was in the thick of it, it affected my mood greatly. At one point, as I'm sure we all have, I was beginning to think that the market was out to get me and I was being targeted. By the law of averages, I should be winning some of these trades, but it was consistent. I felt like a prank was being played on me. I put every waking minute into learning how to be a trader, and the result was demoralizing. Right, so hands up, me, if you've been in that situation, right? Now, you're all going to go through that. You are. Nobody just takes to trading and bang, you know, they're red hot at trading, right? It takes years of, it took me years of practice to get consistently good at trading, right? So we've all been through it. And he was saying how he got used to being a loser, right? He got used to losing. Now, you have to be careful of that because that is real, right? What you end up doing is you know you don't have a big account, and what you do, and you only trade small amounts, and you trade like $10 here, $10 there, and it doesn't really, the money isn't big enough, and it doesn't really mean anything to you. So you're just consistently losing, and you're just like, oh, this is part of the learning, right? But it's not, right? Do not get used to losing trades, and you know, put enough on a trade so that it it means something to you, right? He just got used to losing and didn't care, right? So you must be wary of that. Don't get used to losing, right? Keep working at it and trying to turn it around. So as I said, time went by, it got easier to lose, right? I'd never once thought about giving up until a few weeks ago. It wasn't a big loss or anything like that. I was just tired, right? Tired of losing, tired of studying, tired of putting so much effort into something that in all likelihood I won't find success in, because most people don't. I was mentally checked out, so I gave myself the weekend to give it one last try. This was to be it. I had promised myself that if this next trading week didn't work, then I was done for real. Right? Again, who has said that to themselves in their trading journey? Right? Hands up, I have. Right? So, but you don't want to give up, right? Trading is something that if you get right, can be a very rewarding lifestyle. I got into it because I wanted freedom, but I got to a few of these points where I was like, right, I'm going to give up. It was affecting my personal life, almost affecting my health, my mood, and you get to a point and you think, is this trading worth it? Right? And some people come to the decision it isn't and stop trading, right? And that's fine, right? But again, if you want something bad enough, you have to stick at it, right? There's always that picture, so there's a guy that's mining, right? And there's about this amount of earth left. And just on the other side of that earth, there's like diamonds and gold and everything. But he gives up and stops, right? And it's that kind of analogy, right? So, you're going to feel at points where you give up, but he makes a good point. Just go away, take a break, reassess what you're doing. Why isn't it working? Look at your strategy, and try something different, because you can't, old Einstein said, right, that the sign of insanity is, repeating the same thing and expecting a different result, right? That's the definition of insanity. So, he got to a point and he was like, right, I have to try something else. So I took the weekend, started with a clean slate and completely flipped what I had been doing before. Learned a new strategy, one that was simple and made sense to me and how I wanted to trade the market. Changed my mentality from taking trades as a day trader to opening positions as a swing trader, right? And letting them turn to day trades if the conditions are met. And you know what? It worked, right? I currently have a 66.6 win rate. That's the number of the devil. Be careful. So by cutting my losers short and letting my winners run, right? The very old trading adage, right? It's not rocket science. I was able to quadruple my account in 2 weeks, recovering a little more than half of what I had lost so far this year, although it should be closer to 80% if you're counting only my own plays, as some of those losses were from signals. So, he's turned it around. He was at the brink of giving up. He's just sat down with himself, completely, thought through and created a strategy that makes sense to him. And that is the holy grail of trading, right? It really is, right? Because I can give you a strategy, right? I could give you a 15-minute scalping strategy, right? And I nail it, right? I make 4% a month on average, and I'm brilliant at trading that strategy. I could give it to you and I tell you to trade it, and it just doesn't make sense to you, right? And you won't have those results, right? This guy might have learned some, indicator-based strategy off someone and started trading it, but it never made sense to him and he was losing money. It wasn't until he found something that made sense to him. And that is the holy grail, guys. If something makes sense to you, then you're halfway there. Right? You have to find that strategy that makes sense to you. And, he's got brilliant numbers. He's got like a 66.6% win rate and he's really turned things around. Okay, and he's changed his mentality. He's gone to more of the higher time frames by the sounds of it. He's gone from a day trader to more of a swing trader. And again, that comes down to suiting your personality, right? So to give you an idea, guys, I've done everything. Right? I've done everything from scalp the 5-minute chart to place trades on the weekly chart and everything in between. Right? I kid you not. I've literally tried bloody everything. And then basically over the years of trial and error, I got to the point where I'm happy being a day trader. And I will typically get 1 or 2 trades a day, right? And they normally don't last than more than a day, right? So I found my sweet spot. And as you know, guys, I use price action because that makes complete sense to me, right? It's a lot of what I show you guys is just common sense, right? So that made sense to me as well. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, what's the strategy? But I'm here to tell you that it's not the point, honestly. The strategy was just the catalyst to make my trades. The secret to me finally finding success in the market was all the other bullshit I spent the past 5 months learning, right? Price action, technical analysis, exchanging ideas of experts and peers in the Discord I'm part of, the dozens of strategies that I learned and even the experience I gained just spending time in the market, watching how it moved and reacted to different factors. I use pieces of all of these different things I've learned in my trading. So yeah, right. You're gonna, the internet is, rammed with strategies, tutorials, and this, that, and the other. And, it makes sense for anything to be, for any strategy to be based on price action, because price action is all about facts on a chart. I always prattle on about this, and it's true, right? But this guy is just taking little bits. He's taking a bit from that price action. He's taken a bit from that tutorial, a bit from that technical analysis, and he's made it his own, right? So when I first began learning how to trade, one of the first questions I asked was how to find a strategy. And everywhere I looked, I was met with someone telling me I have to find my own style according to my personality. Amen, brother. Well, how the hell do I do that when I have no experience? But surely enough, one step at a time, I found my style. I looked at everything I learned and took a little bit of information from here and there, and I started building out my system. I'll use everything I learned as a reference because the market is never on a linear plane. You have to adjust accordingly, but my core ideas is what gives me the confidence to initiate my trades. Truth is, I'm still building it out and refining it. These past 2 weeks was meant to be a proof of concept, and so far it's working better than anticipated. I was able to recover my losses, etc. So, what started off as a really doom and gloom, I'm giving up trading, has turned into a really positive trading journey, right? And, guys, it's the same. You're all going to go through this. So one thing coming from that, and I completely agree, is just find that system or strategy that makes sense to you, that that really and also suits your personality and also your lifestyle, right? I always joke about this. If you're a lorry driver, you can't be scalping the 5-minute chart, right? You can't be driving your lorry and then just scalping on your phone, right? You're going to kill people. So you have to find something that fits around your lifestyle, because obviously you're not going to be a full-time trader straight away, and suits your personality, and and don't give up, right? Keep working at it. You'll get something that suits you. So guys, I just wanted to share that with you today. Thought we'd do something a little bit different. Right. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it, guys, let me know. If you thought that was a load of crap, also let me know. Right, who have we got in? So, afternoon, Hamed. How are you? Daniel has got a question. If you could look at US dollar Swiss franc, I went long today on the daily BOS 78. Right, okay, break of structure and the 78.6 retracement. I went long on US dollar Swiss franc. It's against trend, but I actually like this trade, and we'll take a look at that. Hamed high, Aussie Trev high. Luigi could resonate. He's going through exactly that. Yeah, we've all been there, guys, right? We've all been there, right? You have to go through that as a trader, I would say. If you just come in and start killing it, I worry later down the line for you. For Pello, how are you? Haven't seen you for a while, for Pello. And hello, everyone else. I'll get round to all of your questions, guys. But let's start with this one. So let's look at US dollar Swiss franc. And Daniel has gone long. So let's take a look here. Right. So this is an against trend trade, right? But I really like this level. So there's lots of things I like about this trade, Daniel. Right, so let's do our usual top-down approach. Right, let's start with the day chart. Now, the day chart has been building up. Right, we are in an uptrend. Right, we was in a bit of a range between here and here. Then we broke out, and we're in an uptrend, and we're literally back at these lows. Right, and we've had a bit of a bullish candle bounce off that level. Right. So looking good for buys, right? I would potentially take buys, there's kind of a level through here, right? And this piece of resistance. I would look to take buys up to there, but, leave some profit to potentially run back up to here. Okay. I actually took a New Zealand dollar, US dollar sell trade. And I'll show you that as well, guys, very shortly. Now, day chart, completely agree, Daniel. And we're liking the look of this. The only thing I'd like to see is a sustained break of that level. Now, on the H4, thus far, thus is my favorite word of the day. I've used it several times. We haven't had a break on the H4 chart, right? But on the H1, we have, right? We've had a break. Yeah, you can see of this resistance in here, right? We've broken that level with this candle here, and now price has pulled back. This is a really nice value trade. I think this has great potential. Start buying in here, put your stops below here, and we'll look to take price higher. Right? And then I would just aim for the next piece of resistance. So I would try to take the trade, maybe up to this 8,300 level, if not a little bit further up to this level here. Now, the only thing we need to be worried about, Daniel, with this trade is news, right? Because at in 11 minutes or so, we have this coming out, right? And this could push it one way or the other. But once this news comes out, I would also like to take that trade, depending on how the news reacts, right? If it does that, then I don't have a trade, right? But if it just, it's as expected and price just stays around here, I think we've got a really nice trade on our hands. So, Daniel, I'm liking US dollar Swiss franc. I actually took New Zealand dollar US dollar earlier on, guys. So day chart. Sorry, guys, I was doing a little tutorial on fibs over there. So same as US dollar Swiss franc, this was my trade earlier on. We was in a downtrend, right? And we still haven't broken these highs, right? So we're still in a downtrend. We're getting lower highs, lower lows. We're in a downtrend, right? And at this level, we got a nice big bearish candle, right? Bounce off these last highs, right? So, day chart is telling us to sell, okay? And then all I did, guys, was this. I went down to the H4 chart and basically entered on this candle right here. So as soon as I saw this candle, because as soon as this candle formed, it broke these lows, right? Because at that point, we was in an uptrend, right? Still in an uptrend, and that level was holding because of that wick there. But as soon as this candle formed, the body of the candle, right? Let's just get the body of that candle. My God, I've been drinking again. The body of that candle closed below that candle there. That is a structure break. We're below the moving average 20. Started selling here, stops above here, come down to here, took 1:1. And I actually closed all of the trade. Normally I let some profit run, but I closed all of the trade because we got news coming out. So yeah, that's the trade that I took, guys. And as always, guys, you know, those of you that are new to the channel, we have our trading community, right? And I put all of my trades in the VIP Discord, right? So this is the trade here, New Zealand dollar, US dollar, right? And then you can see we hit profit and closed 100% of the trade. I'm also in Euro Canadian dollar sells as well. Right. So if you want my trade ideas, entry, stop loss, take profit, then please come join our VIP Discord. And on that point, guys, right, please come join our trading community because, well, not only is it wonderful in there and you can speak to like-minded traders, share knowledge, ideas, have a chit chat. But if you join our free Discord channel, we are also giving you 50% off our Simply Forex Complete Trading course. So if you look above my head, guys, you can see the promotion. And also there's a QR code on the screen that will take you directly to that. All right. So if you're interested, click on the QR code. It will take you to our free Discord and then you'll get your 50% off code. Also, guys, if you're interested in all of our premium trading education, including our course that I just mentioned, our mentorship program where I coach you one-on-one, and our VIP Trading Academy, which I just showed you, then please check out our website, www.simply-forex.com. And I see a few names in the chat, guys. We've got a few new members on the VIP, so let us know what you think of it, guys. Tell the masses. Right, Prathish. So we got, okay, so Prathish, get my teeth in, wants to look at oil, and we've got Carlos wanting to look at Euro US dollar. Hello, Heath, how are you? Scott, how are you? Hello, hello, hello. Right, let's have a look at oil. So we've got a couple of people wanting to look at oil right now. And we'll get this in before the news. Let me just have a quick look at EuroCAD. Okay, so I'm still in this trade. This is looking okay. Right, let's have a look at oil, right? So, you know, whether it's West Texan Intermediate, right? And then if we take a quick look at Brent, you know, they're pretty much identical, guys, right? But let's have a look at West Texan. Now, it's ranging. It's in an area of consolidation, right? From here to here. So if we look at, if we just follow, let's start with the weekly chart, actually, right? Because we've got uncertainty, because we're in a weekly downtrend, but we found kind of a low, right? Where buyers keep coming in, right? Could this be the start of a double bottom and price continues up, right? Who knows, right? But let's look at the facts. But what we do know is the market has found buyers here. Look at that wick, look at that candle, right? Fact. But we're in a downtrend, and at this level here, we're going to find sellers, right? So in actual fact, we find ourselves in a little bit of a range, okay? And judging by, obviously this weekly candle hasn't finished forming and we can't make decisions based on that, but it's looking bearish, right? Even the weekly candle before that is a bearish wick, okay? So really it's looking more likely that we can take price back to the bottom of this range. But let's take a look at the day chart. Now, I would base that on a break of this level, right? The market has kind of shown you once that the day chart likes this level, bang, it's reacted. And then these highs, oh my God, I've got to stop with the alcohol. Or I need more. Let me just have some more. Liverpool, champions of England, just in case you weren't sure, and I haven't mentioned it recently. We are champions. We are Premier League winners. Anyway, stop gloating about Liverpool. So we find ourselves between here and here. And I would let that guide me, right? So if we get a nice big bearish candle that drops below this level, I think we can take it back down to the lows, right? Before we see buyers again. Okay. If we get a buying candle here, I'm still reluctant to buy it, right? And why is that? Because of the weekly chart, right? The weekly chart is looking pretty bearish. So really, guys, the only trade for me with oil is a break of this level, right? And then we can come lower. Let's take a quick look at the H4 as well. Yeah, so it'd be really interesting to see what price does at this level, right? We're clearly in a, it was in this H4 uptrend. And then bang, we're now in a H4 downtrend. Let's see if it continues. So basically, it's at a real pivotal level. Let's see what it does here before we make any decisions. Okay. So yeah, that's oil, guys. Hope that helps because a few people were looking at that. Yes, so HD, right? There is a strong daily candle, totally, but it's straight into, this is the big bearish candle that HD is talking about, but it's straight into support. So I can't sell into that. Will this bearish candle be the catalyst to help us push through this level? Maybe, but I don't work on maybes. Yeah, I work on definite facts. So I would just wait for that candle that may or may not appear. And then we can look for sells. And then you'll be selling, and then Trump will open his mouth about oil, and then oil will fly up 500 pips. Dear, you gotta love him. Right, Carlos wanted to look at Euro US dollar. Let's do that. So in 3 minutes, we've got the news, but I am pretty, anything could happen with the news, but I am bullish US dollar strength, right? I like US dollar Swiss franc buys. I like Aussie dollar US dollar sells as well, right? If we look at the H4, right? If this stays broke, right? We get a retrace into here. You can see my alarm, and then we come lower, right? So we're kind of ranging a bit, right? So I'm very much interested in US dollar strength. And bearing that in mind, let's have a look at Euro US dollar. Right now, we have had a structure break, right? So we was in this H4 uptrend, and we've had a structure break, let's say on the H1, right? And it's this level through here. But on the H4, right, we're still in an uptrend, okay? And we're literally at the moving average 20. Right, which makes it difficult to sell into. And you've got, what was previous resistance is support here as well. Right, so I like the look of that candle for selling. I really do. But those things are putting me off. Now let's go to the H1 and look at that structure break, right? That is a clear, pure, unadulterated structure break. Right, and look at that. Normally I would be lapping these setups, right? You remember the last vid I did with the trader who did the price action strategy? This is that setup, right? We break what was once support, we get a retest, okay, and then we look to sell it. So it is really at a lovely level for selling. But we've got news in 10 seconds, and we've got that H4 chart that puts it in down. But let's see how price reacts right now to the news. Right, nothing. That was about as exciting as my mate Dave when he talks down the pub. Oh, thank you, editor. We're like Morecambe and Wise. We're like the two Ronnies. We are like Beavis and Butthead, me and the editor. So not much happening. I mean, let's go down to the 30-minute, right? Yeah, not a lot happening, right? Let's have a look at another US dollar pair because I'm going to play Guess the News. It's a game I like to play on my own. Not much happening. Aussie dollar, US dollar. Nothing happening. So I'm just going to say the news was as expected. Let's take a look. Wrong. Okay. So that's why you're getting a bit of a mixed bag, right? You've got one that's worse than expected and one that's better than expected. And they are both marginally better. That is, 1,890 to 1,903. That is marginally worse. And 230 to 227 is marginally better. So that's why you're getting a very muted response. Yeah, nothing, in fact, is happening. Let's have a look at CAD, because if we go back, guys, we did have some Canadian dollar news. Let's see. Let's do it with let's go to look at my Euro CAD trade, actually. Okay, so again, not much reaction to that news either. Yeah, so very muted news, guys. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. That was as boring as my mate Dave down the pub. Hello, Heath from cloudy England. Who else we got in? Scott, hello. Champions, yes, we are. Daniel says, yes, well deserved, though, after the Klopp era. Yeah, to be honest with you, after Klopp left, I feared greatly for Liverpool FC, but we're all good. There was another question here, I'm sure. And if not, guys, if you've got any questions, please don't be afraid to ask them. Niraj, how are you? Nice to have you here. Okay. No. All right, guys, please don't be shy. Please get as many questions as you can into me. I am looking at a couple of yen pairs. And this is looking like a good entry, really. In fact, I'm contemplating entering on this. I like Euro yen sells and pound yen sells. Yeah, I think this could potentially be a good sell trade right now. I'm just going to wait for this H4 candle to finish, right? If it finishes like this, right, you've got this, previous support through here. It's hit off that, right? And we've got a nice big bearish H1 candle, right? Potentially pound yen is a trade idea here. If we go to the H4, yeah, I'm just going to wait for that H4 candle to finish because, I could enter this trade, right? And then the H4 candle finishes like that, all green. And then all of a sudden you're like, I wish I didn't enter that trade. So I'm going to wait for this candle to fall. But yeah, I like pound yen sells. What else was I looking at? Yeah, just a few yen pairs really, guys. Swiss franc yen sells. But we've kind of hit the last lows here. And Euro Aussie dollar, I was keeping an eye on that. Obviously, I'm in Euro Canadian dollar. But really, guys, let's get rid of some of these. Got to tidy up my alarms. Really, I want to see a break of this level. Yeah, so, we could be waiting a long time for this. But if Euro Aussie dollar, just look at this, right? If that's not complete consolidation, I don't know what is. Right? That is days of consolidation. When did that start? That started on Tuesday and it's now Thursday. I didn't have to look at the chart to know that it was Thursday. Yeah, so as soon as we get if we get a break of this level, I'm very much interested in Euro Aussie dollar sells as well. Right, Heath has a question. Can you give us your expert analysis on the FTSE? Yes, I can. Let's do exactly that. I haven't looked at the FTSE for a while. Let's do it. Let's do a top-down approach together, guys, right? And let's get everyone involved. Let's all do this together as one big happy family, right? Let's get rid of some old support levels. Let's put this resistance level in. Right, this is where we're at. Yep, happy with those levels. So let's all get involved, guys, right? You can answer the following question, right? Please answer in the live chat. Everyone get involved. It's enjoyable. So weekly chart with the FTSE 100, right? Same old question, guys. Would you buy? Would you sell? Or would you stay out of the market? So everyone right now, please let me know, buy, sell, or stay out of the market. And also, guys, while you're at it, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, smash that notification button, and please smash the like button. While you give me your answers, I am going to drink my coffee with whiskey. Right, so we've got Scott, stay out, M, stay out, Brett would stay out. Any others, guys? Don't be shy, get involved. David would stay out. Okay. Hamed would buy. Okay. Aussie Trev would sell. Okay. So, all right, so a bit of a mixed bag there, really, but the majority was stay out, right? And again, you are the sentiment of the market. Obviously, you're a small sample and probably not a big enough sample to warrant sentiment of the entire market, but you get the idea, right? The majority of people said stay out, right? And also, guys, when you look at the weekly chart, what you can't do is include this candle, right? Because it hasn't finished forming. So I'm going to get rid of that, right? So based on this, right? I mean, we know, I mean, just technically, the indices have been difficult because it's just so geopolitically driven, right? You know, it's like tariffs, 90-day pause, kapow, America and China are friends again, kapow. And that's all it is. There's been no technical drivers, although it did react at a support level. Now, looking at this, right, we are, you know, we're in a uptrend just, right? We held on to these lows and, you know, it's all very bullish, bullish. This candle isn't, this candle is. So what I don't like is this candle has closed back below that candle. I don't like that, but for all intents and purposes, this market is saying we're going to make it back up to these highs. Right? So I would buy the market, yeah, just back up to here, right? Just looking at the weekly chart. But remember, you know, we're gonna look at the daily chart now as well. Because let's go to real time now, because this candle is affecting your decision and it hasn't formed. But really, bullish, bearish, back to bullish, you know, can we make it up to the all-time highs? Now, what's really going to, you know, analysis aside, what's really going to be interesting is when these indices start coming back up and testing these highs. Because I don't know about you, but it feels like stock price and everything is, stock prices in general are highly inflated. And behind that, in the background, you have tariffs that aren't going away, that are going to affect all companies all over the globe, big and small, right? So once price gets back up to these highs, we're really going to see the, if it gets back to these highs, we're really going to see the confidence of investors, right? You know, if you end up with a candle that looks like that, right? we're coming lower, right? You know, investors are not confident. So I'm really interested to see the reaction here. Right, but let's go down to the day chart now. And if we looked at the day chart, right, same question, right? Would you buy, sell, or stay out of the market? All right, so everyone get involved, guys. Buy, sell, or stay out of the market. Leave your response right now in the live chat. It's all right, guys. I'm not looking out of the window. I'm actually looking at the other screen. Right, so Brett would stay out. David would sell. Aussie Trev would buy. Aussie Trev, I cannot pronounce his name, but the Spurs manager, Angie, blah, 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 is an Aussie. And he won the Europa League Cup final last night. Hamed would stay out. Daniel would stay out. Scott would stay out. Okay. Right, so we're going a bit of a mixed bag here. Any more for any more? Get involved. Okay, so a bit of a mixed bag, right? I'm going to put this level in. Right, there's a level through there. It'll become even clearer on the H4, I'm sure. Let's just quickly look at the H4. Yeah, right, a level through here, right? Reacted, 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 right? And now it will be interesting to see what price does at this level. Again, let's just look at the facts, right? We know this, right? But we are in an uptrend, right? So we want to buy. Are we at a nice level of support, right, to buy from? Not quite, not quite. Do we have a nice candle to buy on? Definitely not, right? So I would stay out for the time being, but tomorrow could be completely different. Let's imagine the wick comes down, hits this level, and we end up with a candle that looks like that. I want to buy that market, right? It's just that nothing's telling me to buy that market yet. Okay, so yeah, we're on the brink of a trade, I would say, but for the time being, stay out. We're not a support area. We don't have a bullish candle, right? Let's see what price does in here. Let's go down to the H4 and see if there's any clues. So there is, potentially there is this level here, right? And it'll be very interesting to see if this H4 closes back into this level here. It'll be interesting to see if that holds. It really will. If that holds, as in the wick, the body of the candle closes back inside, that level has held. And this could be a potentially good buy trade. If this candle ends up looking like that and breaks that level, right? Red candle looks like that. I would say it has a bit more room to come into. So it'll be an interesting H4 candle right now. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, smash the notification button and smash that like button. If you haven't already, please come join our trading community. And if you do, we'll give you 50% off our complete trading course. Also, guys, check out the website for all of our premium trading education. And the QR on the screen is how you join our free Discord. The editor has made it so easy. All right, guys, have a great rest of the trading week. Thank you very much for joining us, guys. Appreciate it and see you soon.